Da, 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 da. Da. Oh, that's so cool. It took a while for me to catch on, but wow. Um, yeah. Welcome
Good
to
job,
the
James.
yeah. Welcome to the final installment of Bad Batch season 2 live stream commentary. Today we're talking about the final two episodes, and that is episodes 15 and 16. The Summit and what is it? The Summit and Plan 99? Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have to say, I'm very disappointed in you already, Xanthi,
Why?
because you're not wearing a certain T-shirt that you should have been
Oh
wearing
no.
today.
Oh no.
Yes. Good. 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 Okay.
Wow.
Good. I'm glad that they agree with me.
I've
Um.
got the power.
Oh yeah. And you are green like Sid today, Christina.
Yeah. Sid and her feelings.
Yeah, and her betrayal, right? Good. There they are. Hey.
Yay.
It's a scarf today.
It's a scarf.
It's a
today.
bib. It's a bib.
It's Xanthi's tech scarf.
A
Yeah.
Boba Fett.
Good. I'm glad we're playing Pain Tribute today because I'm pretty sure it's the end for our friend, like for reals.
You think
I
for
mean,
reals, for reals?
I don't know. I mean, here's the thing with Star Wars is that like if they don't show the body, they might as well be alive. You know, like anybody that they don't show like die is invariably like brought back. You know.
Yeah. Why would Tech keep his broken glasses?
I know. I don't want him to be dead. I love him, but like I want him to be dead because I want the weight of the sacrifice and the realism and all that stuff. You know, I mean, these guys have been in insanely precarious situations for like on a seemingly nonstop basis for like however many years here, and they're all of them are fine. You know, it's kind of it seems to me that it would make more sense that one of them at some point would freaking die. You know,
Yeah.
So to
Oh,
me, I'm
Matthew's
like,
already right out the gate. Matthew's saying, I think Tech will be brought back.
listen, I would love it. You know, if they do it well, I'll be like, woohoo, text back. But part of me is just like, is like enjoying the sadness a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Because especially with my complaints this season, I've just been like, oh man, where is this going? And I don't feel like I'm feeling, but like this finally brought me back. It's like The Godfather. It's like once I think I'm out, this show brings me back in. You know, so
We've been missing James Godfather references this season. That might be your
that's
first
right.
one.
I think so.
You had so many
I,
in the
I'm
previous show.
contractually obligated as the token Italian on the stream. So
However, no until the end of season. Okay, I think not until the end of season 3
oh, you think
will he
so?
be brought back.
Well, if
You may
John
be
Favreau
right.
and Dave Filoni have anything to do with it, he'll be back.
In the
Not even
Ahsoka show.
Yeah,
He'll be old.
He'll be old in the Ahsoka show. That's right.
Yeah. They'll be like, I know someone who can decrypt this.
And we're like, oh, I guess
He hasn't
Tech
been
didn't
seen
die.
in 30 years. That's funny.
Who would play him? I feel like he looks a lot like what's his name? Jude Law. Actually, I feel like he looks like Jude
Oh,
Law
he
with
totally could be.
glasses. Right?
Yeah, he could be.
Good call.
Yeah,
But
and
Jude Law is actually going to be in the Skeleton Crew show, so which is fun.
yeah,
But yeah, Jude Law with glasses is Tech basically.
yeah, and he'll be aged enough, I think, by the time. I don't know. We'll see. I thought there was really good music, especially in episode 15. I really enjoyed the music. And sad that Justin's not here because he loves AZ's sound. The whirring.
Yeah.
Did anyone have any standout? James, was there anything interesting happening percussion wise?
All over the place.
Oh, good. Okay.
It was like all all episode long. There was like all this great orchestral percussion, some good electronic percussion, little wood blocks and bells here and there. Great stuff. Good stuff all around.
Nice.
Got some classic sneaking percussion when Omega and Wrecker are sneaking around. Got this little cue that it's like something like, it's like 15 minutes into the first episode, or on episode 15. It's like something like this. It's like, hear that? It's like, it's like this like low, like low like synth kick drum with these like cool little metallic things going on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, lots of it. It's all under the texture, though, and it's just like it was very busy in a good way. I was just like, ooh, there's some new sounds there. Really well orchestrated. I just found myself like feeling like these episodes were there's just a lot of music. It's just like the whole thing was scored the whole time through, and it was just so much emotion going through these two episodes that there was just so much information to portray through the music. So.
What about you, Christina? Like, what stood out to you?
I very much agree with what James just said. I think since they broke the story down into 2 episodes, and so we got to experience time in a very moment by moment basis for them. The music became extremely important, and there was a lot of kind of elegant music, like I feel like they made elegant orchestrational choices sometimes, like where they could have done something a little kitschier, but instead they decided to keep it with instruments that essentially that don't fall into that kitschy role. Particularly when there could have been sneaking or heisting or anything like that. They could have done something a little bit cheesy, and they didn't. And of course, upon my second watch of episode 15, there was a lot of foreboding. Like I particularly noticed when Fee said goodbye to Tech, there was just like a very somber cello note. It was just like, oh. And then, things like that. So
why did I pick up on that when that happened? Like, in terms of, like, that's what that scene was about. When I went and rewatched it, I was like, this is so obviously what this scene is like, he's gonna die. You know? I don't know why. I do not know why at that moment I wasn't like, oh, they're gonna kill Tech, you know? But it was so obvious.
Yeah, basically all of episode 15 sets up foreboding points, both musically and plot-wise, and then episode 16 finishes each one of those. Yeah. We had Fee and Tech with the foreboding of like, okay, Tech's gonna die. Then we have when they're crossing the sky car and Wrecker's going, I can do it. And I feel like that was also kind of a moment of foreboding where it's like, yes, actually, Wrecker's not going to be the one that we have to worry about.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I did find that this mechanic of the sky car thing, they set it up like it's a dangerous, precarious situation where I feel like it's like Star Wars missions are only as dangerous as they tell you they are. You know what I mean?
Right, because everything looks dangerous.
Everything that they do is dangerous. Like, I feel like this sky car part of the mission would be like just like a passing step in another Star Wars mission. It's like, oh, we just got to hang onto this car, and then they just like hang on it, and then they just show the group doing it, and it's like no problem. And then the real danger is inside the base, you know?
Yeah.
But like in this episode, it was like the sky car is the set piece that will bring us the danger. Which I found myself being like, when they were talking about Wrecker, they'd be like, when Wrecker's like, we gotta, or was it Omega? I don't remember who it was, but they were like, we gotta hang underneath. You know, I was like, I'm pretty sure I've seen you guys do way more dangerous.
Yeah, like, why are you calling attention to this?
They've like hung out of their spaceship, like shooting a bow and arrow and stuff, like in the past, you know, but like apparently like hanging underneath the sky car in this particular episode is like really scary to them, you know. So
Yeah.
I was like, there's something that's gonna happen with this whole scene. Like they're gonna dwell on it, you know.
Yeah, and I
So
was just at Disney World this for a couple days, and so when I saw the Sky Cars, I was like, "Oh, that's cool! It's like a how fun!"
oh yeah, right.
It was not
Oh,
fun.
Disney World, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and there's the
there's like a
the
Sky
thing.
Car
It's just
thing.
like that.
Yeah.
It goes over the Magic Kingdom, right?
Yeah.
By the way, I saw your Twitter with all that blasphemy.
What
About
blasphemy?
Disney World that you were just spouting
It was
into
so
the
much
universe.
fun.
Yeah, but you were like, "Oh, Disneyland's better, hands
Oh,
down." or
Disneyland is
whatever.
hands down better than Magic Kingdom. It's not even close. Magic Kingdom's like a cheap pop-up Renaissance fair. It's discount Disney for sure. But Epcot is cool.
Okay, so here's the thing: is that like I haven't been to Magic Kingdom since I was a child, so in my mind, it was the most magical place on earth.
Yeah, of
And then
course.
when I
And I'm
went to
never going to take that
Disneyland
away
for-
from you.
Yeah, but when I went to Disneyland I went in as an adult. So in my mind, I could see through the seams of Disneyland when I was there because I was like smart enough to be like, oh, that's like Dumbo's not real, you know. So
Oh yeah, that's a
like,
big seam.
yeah. So well, you know what? I tell you what the biggest scene is: the Matterhorn. Like when you're a kid, you're like, that is a freaking.
The Matterhorn is the
mountain.
first tubular steel roller coaster in the world.
Okay, this is completely irrelevant to why I brought it up. So I saw the Matterhorn as a kid in Disney World and being like, oh my god, there is a mountain inside this theme park, right? But when you're an adult, you're just like, oh, it's like that thing is about as tall as like like a Ferris wheel or something, you know.
It's taller than
there's
that,
like
but
a-
yeah, I got you. It's
Okay,
you know,
whatever.
it's not
The
real.
point
It's not
being
a
is when you're an
mountain.
adult, you're not like, oh, that's cool. I can see as a kid that would seem like the hugest thing in the world.
Yeah.
I will say that come on, how about the castle at the Magic Kingdom though?
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
so
The
much
castle at the
better.
Magic Kingdom is
It's
bigger
better.
and
It's
better,
better, right?
sure. But
Okay, good.
I don't really care about the castle too much. That's not really doesn't
Okay,
really
all right,
affect my
whatever,
experience too much.
whatever.
But I agree,
Whatever,
Magic Kingdom
Xander.
Castle is nicer for sure. It's bigger and
Well,
stuff.
yeah, whatever.
No, I agree.
All right. Anyway, so you were there, and then the Sky Car thing.
Let's
yeah,
just put it this way. I'm glad I went
Which
there
one-
before I
yeah,
saw
I
this
was gonna-
episode.
I was gonna ask. I was like, which one did you do first? That would really freak me out.
Yeah.
'Cause it really is like the same contraption.
Yeah.
You're hanging off of a wire.
Yeah, it's like
across the
exactly.
thing.
Yeah. I was like, that's just like the ride. No.
Is
Okay.
it Empire design?
Is it Empire
Is,
design?
is this like is the Sky Car like
No,
the
it's not
same
like-
design, or
Oh.
just it is a Sky Car?
Like the car itself, I don't think looks much, but like the contraption by which it's suspended and everything is
Yeah, it's
like
like
the same.
overhead gondola.
Yeah,
thing.
it's like
Yeah,
hanging off
yeah.
a wire, loose in the middle. You know what I mean? I remember being a kid and being like, "Are we okay on this thing?" It wasn't computing why this was safe. You know? But
Yeah,
everybody
and
was
it's not
telling
even
me,
just
like,
it's not even a ride. It's like a transportation from like
right,
hotels
it's like
to
the
like
monorail kind of.
yeah, like we didn't go on it because we weren't like at a hotel where it was relevant to go on it.
Right.
But yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't
That's
go.
funny.
Okay, yeah.
That's pretty funny.
yeah. I'm gonna put a picture. It's like this.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, it looks so much like the Patch Sky Car. That's really funny.
It's also like the trams going to Palm Springs. No. Okay.
the
that's a West
trams
Coast.
going
That's
a
oh,
very-
yeah,
like the
yeah,
ones
yeah,
that-
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Yep,
do that.
yep.
Yeah.
And big airports have them too, right?
Oh, okay. I've never seen them at an airport, but Matthew has an interesting comment. If you have I'm going to look up that interview. The Kiner brothers did an interview the other day where they mentioned after Tech's death that they went back and made changes to episode 15's music as they scored them one episode at a time and didn't realize that Tech was going to die until watching episode 16.
Oh, really?
That makes a lot of sense because first of all, I thought that episode 15's music was like unusually complete sounding in a way that not even episode 16 was. Like I felt like episode 15 was like the best music of the whole season because it felt like really premeditated. Like it felt like even in that first, 5 minutes, there are like 5 really subtly woven themes that come into it that are like woven in such a way where it must have taken a lot of premeditation or going back and adding things later. So like the extra work that they put in doing that, it comes across for me.
Yeah, for sure. That's so weird, though. I guess that makes. I guess
Like
I
that they
believe it,
weren't. That it is
that
weird
they
to me that
weren't
they just
aware.
exactly
Like, they
didn't
weren't.
tell
They
him.
should have been aware before they started the season that hey, this character is going to die at the end of the season. Like, maybe they weren't finished animating it or whatever. Like maybe they weren't finished completely rendering the whole thing like a month ago or whatever. I mean, I know that happens. These people are on like crazy deadlines, but regardless, it should have been written and it should have been like like communicated to the composers like, hey, this character is important and they're gonna die at the end of the season. Maybe you should like plant some seeds throughout, especially because Tech gets so many episodes this season. Like he gets the scene where he's the racer. He gets the scene.
Yeah, like in retrospect, I can kind of like in retrospect we can say, oh, okay, yeah, of course they were gonna kill him off. They gave him so much time this season.
Right. I'm just surprised that the Kinders weren't aware that this character was gonna die until the penultimate episode. That's interesting. It's kind of an interesting production decision.
I guess it goes to. I guess it's a good reminder that like to not take like musical quote unquote hints too seriously because sometimes they just don't know. They're just writing the best that they know at the time, and so maybe we shouldn't read too much into things because maybe they just don't know.
I think that's probably a good advice, like across the board.
Yeah.
Especially musically. I think people definitely put on their tinfoil hats when it comes to musical analysis.
They definitely do.
And like what that means. Like I think people were like, what was it? What show was it that people were like, oh, I hear the was it Mando maybe? It might have been. It was some show where they were like, oh, I hear. They were like,
oh,
I
Boba
hear.
Fett.
It
was like, Boba Fett with the Crimson Dawn theme.
The Crimson Dawn theme. It's like, okay, no, sorry.
However, there was a cross movie theme reference in episode 15, and it was from Rogue One. So.
Was that with Krennic? I didn't catch it. I assume that it has something to do with Krennic.
Yeah. So it was at about 12:46, which is when I was really very excited to see Krennic. By the way.
Oh yeah.
That was really
he looks
cool.
Great.
Yeah, he does look great. So.
He's not wearing his cape, is he?
No. So. It's very brief. He goes, so like regarding Project Stardust, and then on horns. Oh, sorry. And it's just a brief reference to, it's to Jin's theme, which is, that's basically the gist of it. Her theme also has an embedded Dies Irae in it.
Her theme? I thought we were just talking about Krennic's thing.
Well, okay. Well, it happened while Krennic was on screen, but they referenced. I guess you could just call it the Rogue One theme.
Okay.
It's just like in the movie, one could say that it's part of Jin's theme because it's part of like Jin's suite and whatever. But
interesting. I don't recognize it. I'm trying to think of when you see that. Yeah, I'm not sure if I remember that from Rogue One.
I think you would if you heard it in context.
Okay.
Like.
Oh yeah. Okay.
There you go. Yeah, you just needed the chord.
Okay.
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
Yeah. Let me finish. Okay. Wait. G sus 2 over 4.
It's like da 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 do da da do da do da da do da.
No, that's Across the Stars.
Right?
That's Across the Stars.
I'm kidding.
Oh my gosh! I don't know when you're kidding. What?
I just loved how you were just like, no, that's Across the Stars. No.
What? How am I supposed to know when you're joking or not?
Yeah, you're right. I don't make it easy. Yes, I remember this, and then like Jin is talking about
Thank you, Alex. Of course, Alex Ludwig, Dies Irae Guru, happens to pop in just as we're talking
Love
about
it.
Diaz Irae.
That's awesome.
That's wild.
Jin is giving like a monologue during one of the times that this theme appears, and she's like,
Rebellions are built on hope.
yeah, and she's like, I think this is happening when she's like, when he's talking about how can you stand to see the imperial flag reign. She's talking to Saw, I think, and then she's like, doesn't bother me if you don't look up. You know that one scene? Remember that?
There are a lot of lines in Rogue One that I think are cringe, but I know a lot of people like it, so that's fine. Yeah. And Jin's whole speech is cringe to me. But the novel makes it better.
There's a number of spots in Rogue One that feel like they were shot after, like, you could tell that the production was made like they're inconsistent with like the narratives going on. And I feel like that scene, her and Saw, that scene when she's on Jeddah with Saw and doing it, that thing feels so like thrown in at the last minute. Like there's no other characters. Anyway, this is not a Rogue One stream, but yeah, yes.
But this is like one of the rare times that an animated show is like acknowledging another, especially a non-John Williams movie. Like
Sure.
I don't know if this is the first like overt Rogue One reference, which is cool that they're doing that.
Yeah. And we've got the opposite. We had Solo referencing Rebels with the Imperial March theme being played as in-universe music.
Yeah, but I don't know if Solo was referencing Rebels so much as they're both referencing the Imperial March.
No, but it's. I would say that Rebels canonized the Imperial March as source, like.
Oh yeah,
source
they were the
music.
first to do it, I'd say.
And I think that Solo was able to use that, and I think that was definitely a Rebels like quote unquote reference, like basically saying like this music has been established as actually existing in Universal. Let's use it in this scene too.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I don't think it was
like,
a reference.
I don't.
I still don't think it was a reference so much as it gave them permission to do that too.
Yeah,
Perhaps.
I would.
But
yeah,
it wasn't even.
line-
It wasn't John Powell's idea. Even it was like, forgot director's idea or something. They did it really last minute. They were like, "Hey, it would be cool right here if during this." Anyway, here is from Frank Lehman's complete catalog of the musical themes of Star Wars. This is his melodic reduction of Jin's theme from Rogue One, and as Alex was pointing out, Dies Irae is in that, and I've circled where the Dies Irae is. So it's these 4 notes. And so Jin's theme, it has the Dies Irae baked in it. You know, she's doomed from the start, perhaps. Sounds like a thing that Giacchino would actually do on purpose.
And I just checked it. She definitely, during that exact monologue, it's being played on a bassoon. That exact theme. So.
Okay.
Which I nailed it on that one. Good job.
Nice. Good job, James. I'm proud of you. Okay, we have some comments to catch up on. As they score them one episode at a time. Okay, we already said that. Alf says Tech and Echo's skills overlap, so it wasn't a surprise he died. I do believe Tech will be back as a dark trooper. Or whatever they're turning the clones into. That's so sad. And then Matthew said, I think the clone scientist Omega's sister is a modified clone and will end up joining the Bad Batch as Tech's replacement. Interesting idea.
Yeah, I kind of read her as just basically being what Omega's going to look like when she grows up. It's like she's basically the same genetic template that Omega was. That's kind of what I gathered from that situation. Like that's what that means when she's like, I'm your sister.
Yeah.
I just figured like she basically is Omega's exact clone. Like,
yeah. So,
but maybe
okay.
I'm
So
wrong.
the end of that episode, first of all, the music was really cool. After that, it sort of like immediately accelerated, this, string line. It was obviously like the music was telling you this is an important reveal.
Yeah.
However, I will say that reveal didn't really get me very much. It didn't super get me. And I think what happened in the episodes was interesting and enough for me to be invested in season 3. Right. But that little very easy, like, I don't know, gotcha at the end was not it. Was not why. It was everything else. I'm just curious about
Yeah.
where the Bad Batch is. It just, so what? Omega has a ton of clones. Okay, this one's a girl. Was that it? Was that the only, I'm failed to connect the dots. I mean, it's cool that she discovered another clone and whatever, but this one's like even more normie than her since aging
Yeah.
is accelerated. So I don't, like, if she met another one that was her age, that would be more interesting. But I don't really understand this
Well,
one.
because I mean, the one that would be her age is Boba Fett.
Boba Fett.
Which
Yeah.
I still think I do think those two. I think he's going to be in this show, and I think the two of them are somehow going to meet. I do think they're going to connect those two, and that might be what they're eventually. That's going to be like a big moment, I think, for either season 3 or maybe season 4. I also think that like I'm realizing that maybe my impatience this season is because I didn't realize that they were just going to keep going with more seasons to this show. And so now I realize that maybe we better strap in for the long haul because I'm
Right.
not even sure at this point that like season 3
Three
is
is
going to
it.
be it's the final season. I'm kind of surprised by that considering I'm like, is the viewership high enough on this show that they can like keep greenlighting more seasons of this thing? But I guess it is. You know, I feel like more people watch Boba Fett than this show. I bet. You know?
What?
But yeah.
I don't know about
I-
that. You think? Okay. I don't know any numbers, so you could be right.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
Like just because it's a Boba Fett show. Like even though it was weird and kind of stupid, like I think people just tuned in because it's a live action Boba Fett show and the Mandalorian is in it and Luke Skywalker is in it. I think, but I guess I'm linking this back by saying Boba Fett didn't get greenlit for another season, so Bad Batch just keeps cruising on like season 3, season 4, let's go, you know?
Yeah, because
which
it's,
is
well, it
great.
is like extended Clone Wars, which
It is, but I don't know if there's like a wide audience like there is for like Mando and Boba. You know, like there's definitely an audience for it. I mean, we're freaking podcasting about it, but to me, I'm like surprised that there's a season 3 of this show. You know, I'm like, okay, let's go. Okay, I mean, I've had my moments this season, but
yeah, you
I
have.
gotta say,
James has had a
but-
whole
but-
crisis.
But these 2 episodes were just like, this is what I love about this show. These episodes, you know, like I love these episodes, and they just like solidifies like, oh, I really love this show, and so when it doesn't meet my expectations, that's why I've been bored. So, but now I'm just realizing like, oh, maybe I'll go and binge this show in the future, and those like weirdo like one-off episodes won't bother me because it's all leading towards this really long, way longer story than I was anticipating there being.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, speaking of Diaz Irae, there is another overt Diaz Irae in the 16th episode, in the final episode, and it's when Tech is about to sacrifice himself. So it's like about 5:20-ish, where he's hanging on the thing. Yeah. Yeah. It like, yeah. It almost goes all the way to the full phrase. Alex says, I think Bad Batch could be a good way to soft launch characters that will become larger in live action. Interesting. Yeah. Like,
But
do you
I
mean
think
like,
that's like, yeah, go ahead.
do you mean like not necessarily the Batch, but maybe the Senator and maybe I would love to see live action Kevin Owens again. I would be excited to see that. Hemlock. Scary.
Hemlock would be
He's so
good.
scary. He's very scary.
Yeah. I mean, I think I am growing a little weary of just the constant like, I want to see this character. I want to see this character. Where can we put this character? Character. You know, like let me get this cameo.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little bit, which is weird because probably a year ago there's footage on this YouTube channel of me.
Yeah,
being
James
like,
is the most into that
"Woo!"
of
You
all
know?
of us.
So, but now I feel like Mando has.
I'm rubbing off
these
on
past-
you.
Yeah, well, I just think the Mando feels like it's hitting me over the head with it.
Yeah.
like this past season. I like what's going on in Mandalorian right now, but I just feel like it's crazy, like how much they're doing right now. Like, why is R5
They're doing so much. Yeah, why is R5 there?
R5?
Do we
Why is
need
R5 there? And since when was R5 in the rebellion? Like, it
Yeah,
doesn't
he just
make
had a
any
bad
sense.
motivator.
Yeah, it's just it feels like they're just like Star Wars, Star Wars. Remember this thing for Star Wars? You know, it just feels like I'm getting punched in the face with references every single week, and it's a little bit too much. So yes, great if they want to do this in Bad Batch in the way, but I'm like really weary of just being like, ooh, let's see what characters we can pull out of this show and put on the screens. Like, why don't you? And maybe it's just Andor was just like, let me show you what we can do without all those references, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, I like this. Thank you, Andor.
Boba Fett as live action has a much bigger audience. However, animation has a much smaller budget.
Yeah, is that
makes
true
sense.
though? Yeah, I guess it's true. Yeah. I know it's definitely smaller. Is it much smaller though with animation? I guess they don't have
I
to
don't
pay
know.
as
I
many
think
actors.
I think the actors are and the sets. And also they underpay animation.
I was just gonna say that's why all the animators are striking, because it is for some reason a smaller budget, even though you've got like animators like at like 3 a.m. you know, on these crazy deadlines trying to crank out like Omega's you know, make her hair move the right way, you know. So,
Okay, I'm gonna play something.
probably some of our comrades from our CalArts days right now are sweating bullets.
Probably
trying to
a
make the
lot
Bad
of
Batch
them.
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
a lot of them have worked on this show. So.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna play. There were several like there was some new thematic material for sure in these episodes. One of them kind of goes something like this, and it showed up a ton.
Yeah.
And then it even came up later where there's like the bass is going. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it
That was really
Yeah.
creepy and foreboding for sure.
a very like serpentine sounding line. The first thing I called it was scheming for science. But now I feel like it's kind of like a Tarkin theme or like a Iriadu theme perhaps.
She schemed me with science.
And it was woven in quite a bit. Quite a bit. I like it. It's very it's flexible. Like it's not
sure.
sort of like a lot of the themes in these Kiner scores are very like square, very super strictly diatonic, very square. You can get them confused with each other because they're just so like, I don't know, just like. Like, you know, just kind of using very common notes, etc. Which is fine. But this one stood out as like an interesting, if not like leitmotif, like certainly like a like non-motivic leitmotif. I don't know. I feel like it was almost like, well, time will tell. We'll see if it comes up again. But it really was a lot for like Iriadu and stuff like that.
Yeah, I really I was really unsettled in the beginning of episode 15 with that theme for sure.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Another striking piece of music was sort of like, or maybe you tell me where this happened. Okay.
Huh.
But the main thing for me was like the.
All right, guessing time. Everybody put your answers in the chat. Christina and I think of some answers.
Some
ask for
answers,
his.
yeah.
Do you know where that popped up?
And throw your Venmo in the chat, and Xanthi will Venmo you $50 if you get it right.
Sponsored by James.
That's fun. Interesting. Is it? Okay. You got a guess, Christina?
The closest I'm going to get to a guess is sneaking around in the corridors of Iriadu,
Ooh.
trying to get stuff done. But I also feel like it's stronger than that potentially. There's something more. There's like a nasty person on the screen or something like that.
I feel like
Nasty
it has
people
something
being
to do.
like Tarkin, for example, or Hemlock.
I feel like it has something to do with them riding on the car on the way over there.
Any guesses in chat? One of you is right.
Oh, what did Ziggy say?
What did Ziggy say?
Ziggy thinks that I'm right, of course.
Okay, so James is right.
Woo!
Yeah, so we're seeing the sky cars, and it is very eerie, isn't it? It's very eerie, Iriadu eerie.
Ah,
wait a second.
Iriadu.
And just to be clear,
Like
this
it.
is a different planet than
The clone facility.
where they're keeping Crosshair, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So can someone remind me, why are they there, and why did they end up?
So Tarkin is from Iriadu.
Okay, but why is the batch there? I thought
Because
they were going
Hemlock is there.
Because they're tracking Hemlock, and they have found they're following Hemlock, and they want to put a homing beacon on Hemlock because they want to find Crosshair. And they
okay.
find out through Tech finds out through decrypting whatever transmissions that Hemlock is going to be in Tarkin's private summit or whatever on Iriadu.
Okay.
It's very convoluted, which is why it gets confusing when like Saw shows up and it's like, wait, why are we're all
Why is
here
everyone here?
for different reasons.
Well, because there's a scene in the last episode where they're like, oh, they could have brought Omega anywhere, and I was like, didn't they just bring her back to that place you just were? But I guess they, I guess they did. They weren't there. For some reason, I was thinking they were on Mount Tantus that whole time.
That's what I thought at first too, until I went back, because they're both mountainous.
Right, and that's where I was like, oh, they're sneaking in to get Crosshair. That's what I thought that was like the simplest explanation of what the mess. I just wasn't listening to the brief is what was happening.
No, it was a little bit convoluted. Like it wasn't very like, oh, let's just get Crosshair. It was like we have to put a homing beacon on this. Who's going to be here?
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Has anyone read the Tarkin book by James Luceno? Okay. They talk.
I probably should.
Iriadu is a major location in it. It's cool to see on screen briefly. The Book of Boba Fett cost $105 million.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I guess like they just the sheer cast, I think, is also so expensive on those shows. Like I'm sure that, Tem and Pedro Pascal and to voice it is definitely part of that. But
Plus,
yeah, I
they're
think
saving so much
volume-
money by just having D. Bradley Baker.
right? So I think the cast has a lot to do with it. But yeah, I'm sure that the production is way over what animation costs. But I think those costs should be a little bit closer together. I mean, considering how much work it takes to animate.
Yeah. Although I will say for live action, VFX artists are also usually underpaid. So
Yep, that's true.
yeah.
So
Okay. So need to reread it. Cool.
but
let's
it's
see.
definitely something to be said where it's like animators create acting performances like within their software, like in a way that actors do with their faces, you know. So there is an interesting there's an interesting like inequality between like how much we value someone's acting performance versus how much we value, you know, a team's ability to create an acting performance, you know, virtually.
Well, the voice
you know?
is done first before the animation.
Yeah, plus that too, like voice acting as well. Yeah, you gotta wonder. I don't know. It's just an interesting how we value those different things. Like someone like a star just costs this huge amount of money because he or she or they are a star and are the presence on screen. But it's like we're creating wonderful performances virtually with this team of animators and a voice actor as well. So how is that not? I don't know. I don't really know exactly the point I'm like really targeting, but there is something very interesting about how differently we value those different contributions, you know.
I don't know if there's
to a
like,
project.
I guess because there's different, I think people, maybe I'm wrong. I think that people do value the animation work, but
I'm talking about monetarily value them.
but we don't know we don't know how much, we don't know the paycheck. So maybe they are.
Well,
we
do
don't know.
Like, yeah, I mean, we do know how much like some of these stars get paid for their shows. Like, it's a
True,
huge
but we
amount.
don't know how much the animators get paid. Okay, so here's another. If anyone else has a musical example, you can jump in. Okay, easier to replace an animation actor.
Yeah, I mean, it's all boils down to, you know, like, just, you know, logistics and also just, you know, what somebody's able to charge because they're a big name or they're a big deal, you know.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. It does make sense, even though it's like, you know, can make you feel icky if you think about it too much.
Yeah. Okay, so here's another bit. Etc. But it's this. Sorry. Those notes in different orders. You have no idea.
I have no idea, but I feel like that. Can you just play that over? So like. Just play that over that real quick. Like, how much of a hip hop line is that?
Totally is.
That's great.
So yeah, I have no idea where that is.
Also, I think I may have actually misremembered some of it. That's what it was. It's not. It's still though. Yeah. That's real good.
Got that tritone.
Yep. I knew it wasn't tritony enough.
It makes me think of when Sid was about to betray them, but that I'm not even sure that's a real guess. It's just it's sneaky like Sid is being. So
Yeah, it is.
It's from the 15th episode.
Okay. Is it when they're sneaking around?
Yeah.
Okay.
Specifically.
So,
Go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say that was that thing I played earlier. I guess is happening underneath that, huh? The percussion is going like this. It's like that part where it's like,
Yeah.
are you talking about where they're hiding behind stuff and Omega's running from?
Yeah, it's when
Side to
Omega's
side.
like trying to attach the homing beacon.
Yeah.
And yeah, there is very light what you did, percussion underneath. Yeah.
It's just like little sub bass.
I hear some like snare in there too. Oh,
Yeah, something like that.
yeah. Is that a snare?
It's like a little bit.
Ish.
I'm limited by what Roland gives me on that thing. So,
Yeah.
but I still
It
haven't
is really
figured it out. But
Yeah. It like goes up. Yeah. It's a nice little line. And I have one more example.
I hope you're gonna play what I want you to play.
Oh.
Ooh.
Well, if I don't, I can take requests. Okay. Should do this an octave lower. No. Did I?
No,
No, okay.
I do not know what this is. Oh, we're only doing 15, episode 15 right now.
No, we could do both, but
Oh,
it
but
is from
have
episode
your
15.
examples only been from 15 right now?
Yes,
Okay. Do you have stuff for 16?
I can. I will,
I
sure.
meant like, okay, all right. That's because the thing I wanted you to play
I got
was
it.
episode 16. So, but I don't know what this is. I'm trying. It sounds like another theme from another.
It
piece of
does,
music.
right?
Boom, bum, bum.
Yeah.
What is that from? Boom, ba-da, bum.
I've been like scouring my brain because it's definitely from something else. It might just be from Bad Batch, and I can't figure out where it's from. It's like definitely from something.
Right?
Does anyone know? Like, I
Yeah,
feel
what
really
is
silly
that?
that it's not. I feel silly for not.
Ba-da-da.
Yeah, it's like at 2140 of episode 15. Oh my God, what is it from?
It's where again? What's the-
2115. Sorry, 2140.
Yeah, that sounds so familiar.
It's from something.
Yeah. I think your timestamp's off there. I can't hear it. Oh, no, it's because I'm in the wrong episode. Sorry. Yeah, it's with the brass, and it's got that really nice, those are really nice chord changes.
Yeah.
Bum,
Sounds so epic.
Bum, bum.
And sweeping.
Yeah, I feel like it's from Star Wars, too. Bum,
Yeah.
bum, bum, bum.
Oh my gosh.
Who knows, man? Who
When it
knows?
pops up,
Is it Kylo Ren? How's
no,
Kylo Ren's theme go?
no, but he has a few. One of them is.
No, it's definitely not Kylo Ren.
But then he also has one that's. Like, it kind of is reminiscent of it, like one of Kylo Ren's many themes. Oh my gosh, what is it from?
It's like, right, it goes down to that chord.
It goes down to an A.
Yeah, who knows? Bum, ba-da, bum. Anyway, if anyone knows what Star Wars thing that theme is from, please let us know. That is.
One of the things that might be familiar is just like the chords, especially when it goes. Like when it goes from E minor to C minor. I mean, that sounds like a very Star Warsy chord progression.
If anybody wants to write Star Wars-y sounding music, just take a minor chord and then make another minor chord a minor third down, and then you'll sound like Star Wars.
It's nice for chord. It's a nice chord progression.
I think the other thing that makes it feel classic Star Wars is the way that the melody includes a really big leap followed by like a step.
Followed by a dotted thing as well.
Yeah, exactly. By a little thing. Yeah, that's super Star Warsy. And I feel like that always evokes this feeling of like hopefully but tragically trying to push out of something that's impossible to get out of. Is what it feels like, which of course just goes with the big theme of we've got the huge empire and this horrible societal structure that's really hard to get out of. So you always get themes where people are trying to do something but not. I mean, very very rare. I feel like there's not so many triumphant themes where it's like this is just great. Like there's always a little tragedy in them.
Yeah.
Jeannie, it sounds like it might be. I wouldn't be surprised if it's from Rogue One.
That would make sense.
Where would it have been? Something to consider. Something to think about.
Yeah.
I'll put my transcription on screen so you can see the leaps. And it was associated with Saw.
Yeah, it's not Mando.
I don't know.
We'll
think of it.
Oh yeah, and then they got thwarted by Saw.
Bum.
I just wanted to point, to point out how we haven't talked about that. Oh,
Yeah,
it
how
could be
they
Saw
got-
related.
Yeah.
It's kind of Ewok-y, actually. Bum ba-dum, bum ba-dum, bum ba-da-dum, ba-dum, bum, bum ba-dum, bum ba-dum. It's a little bit like the Ewok theme.
Is it?
A little bit. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, ba-dum. Anywho.
Are you done, James?
Yes.
Also, we get quite a bit of. We get hints of the clone facility theme, which I think is now, I'll call it Hemlock theme.
Yeah.
All throughout.
Yeah,
I'm trying to-
cool to see that board of directors, and then they're basically confirming that they're just experimenting on the clones, and they're like, "Well, these are Imperial property. We can do whatever we want to them. They don't need like their consent to do stuff with them." And it was interesting to see that some of the commanders had pause, with this idea, like, "Oh, is that legal?"
Yeah. Showing that
I also
Hemlock is even
love-
a step.
There's this thing that Star Wars does with characters that are from multiple that are involved with the Empire or the military or the government that they have in multiple shows in multiple eras, and they basically like, oh, when it's earlier they have a lesser rank than they have.
Oh right. So
you know what I
Krennic
mean?
has a lesser
So
rank.
Yeah, but I'm also just like, isn't director just mean that he's direct? Like, I think if director is definitely not a military rank.
Yeah.
But I always just thought it was like he's a director Krennic because he's the director of that project. And seemingly in Bad Batch, he still is the director of Project what's it called, Stardust. Right? So I'm just like, why does he have a lower rank? Who's above him? Who's the director of the Stardust project? Like. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it felt like they were like, oh, we got to make him a lesser rank. But I'm like, how does that make any sense with what his rank was to begin with, But maybe I'm just thinking too much about it.
Yeah, I
But
think
is
it has to do. I think it's just civilian versus military. So if you're director, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily in the military. If I recall, like Director Krennic doesn't have so much military status. He's just like a really top. He's an aristocrat. He's like really up there in the in the social
And he's a
sphere.
scientist too.
And in
Yeah,
this
I
show,
actually was
but
so. I was just
in
gonna
this
say
show
I
they call
actually
him
was.
Commander Krennic, you know. So I'm just
Oh
like,
no.
that's why I was like, what does that mean to be?
Oh, I see.
That's what I was saying. Like they call him Commander Krennic or whatever it is, like Captain Krennic or something like that. I know I'm frozen right now. I'll fix it.
Interesting.
Um,
Like military
I
ranks
do.
kind of wash over me a little bit. Like,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I've read Catalyst, which deals with Krennic quite a bit, but I still can't really remember, and I don't really know the orders of ranks very well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe I don't
actually,
know. Maybe it's a Catalyst thing. Is he commander in that book?
I don't even
Any
remember.
clue?
All I know is that he is always struggling for more power, and especially with Tarkin.
Yeah.
I think I recall. So I was so lucky to have been reading Thrawn Treason at the exact same time as I was watching these episodes, and Thrawn Treason is specifically about how Tarkin tortures Krennic
Oh
via,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, yeah, it's hilarious. It's just like Tarkin has got Krennic wrapped around his finger and is trying to steal the Stardust Project from him in the
Yep.
most
Which he
devious ways.
does.
But I believe what happened was that in order to have any military power, you just like so they just give Krennic a rank. They're like, well, I guess we'll give you this rank because otherwise
Gotcha.
military people don't have to do anything you say.
Gotcha. So maybe
And I don't
commander is
remember.
his military rank and director is his like governmental project rank.
Yeah, totally. For example, Tarkin is one of the few people who is both a Grand Moff, which is kind of a civilian rank, and a Grand Admiral, which is a military rank. Though those two things
Oh,
don't
okay.
often coincide.
I see. I see. Yeah, I don't know much about the military, so I've been talking out of my whatever. So
None of our strong suit.
yeah, we don't have a in residence military member.
I know military pretty good.
Yeah, Christina's Texan
That's true.
heritage.
Okay. Well, we
Texan.
appreciate the insight. I definitely want to ask my two Thrawn buddies here a question about the Mandalorian before we end our stream today. So please remind me. Are you caught up, by the way, Christina?
On Mandalorian?
You're not. Okay. Maybe I shouldn't ask.
I'm gonna nod so slowly because I still have only watched episode one.
Oh my god.
James, I am caught up, and I don't even know what you're talking about.
Okay.
But also I
I
have
know.
to go at 12:15, so I just thought I
Okay.
would tell you
So
that.
maybe I will. I
So,
might only have Xanthi here. So
That's
sad.
for the
What do
best. All right.
uh,
So, Jeannie, is that from Rogue One? We'll find out. Maybe if we find out, we'll I'll put put it in the comments or something. Um, let's see. What else?
Right back.
What else do you?
Be right back.
Okay. Oh, Christina, there was like a little Thrawn mention. Not, it wasn't specifically a Thrawn mention, but in episode 15, they said greater good, and I was like,
oh, they did. Yes,
it was at
that's
1848.
that's totally true.
Yeah.
Wow.
Also, I will note that there was like the 2140 theme kind of has a James Bond vibe. Maybe. I'm not very super well versed in James Bond. I know like themes basically, but not like much of the score. So I don't know what part perhaps you're talking about or what aspect of what about it is James Bondy. But yeah, the last thing I'll say about episode 15 is there was like a little bouncy Bad Batch theme toward the end. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was like, let's see. Wait, I'm listening to it. So. Okay, maybe it wasn't. Maybe I'm reading into it too much.
What timestamp?
Like 2017. I mean, it's more like hints. It's like. And later. I mean, it could be anything. It just. the Bad Batch theme is flexible in that way, where there are little parts of it that show up all over the place. So yeah, it may have been intentional, maybe not. All right. James, anything you have from episode 16?
Did you guys talk about Tech's death yet?
No.
Come on, this is like the biggest, most intense moment in the whole 2 episodes.
I know. You can start. You start the conversation.
Well, okay. So what is that theme that plays that we keep hearing? There's two like main pivotal moments that I find that we're hearing that theme quite a bit, which is let me.
Well, when does Tech
myself.
die?
When does he die? Does anyone have Tech's death stamp timestamp?
I think right at
Around 6.
6 minutes.
6 is when he shoots the connector.
Yeah.
Part is so that huge like. Yeah. Bum, 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 bum. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. It does sound familiar.
This thing sounds. I'm almost positive there is a musical. This is like a very Andrew Lloyd Webber moment.
Oh no, I was gonna say it sounds like Edward Elgar.
Okay, which makes sense. I mean, he gets lifted from in musical theater quite a bit, I think. Bum 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 bum. There's on the tip of my tongue.
It does have an Andrew Lloyd Webber quality to it, though.
There is a show that I swear that like has that melody in it. I can't put my finger. It's to me like the vibe that I'm getting from it is Christine, the music of the night. And it's like bum.
It's hard to do that at the same time. But
what? It's so. I swear to God, this melody. It's almost like exactly from some musical that's like from that era of musical theater, and I can't think of it. It's so musical theater to me. But anyway, yeah, it's very it's bum 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 bum. I can't.
Yeah, no,
but
it totally does sound like that.
I
don't know.
It's like in my subconscious of my musical theater mind, but. But anyway,
yeah.
I mean,
it kind of reminds me of Music of the Night slightly. At least just like when the balloons
bum 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 bum.
It has the sound of like a reprise almost.
Right? Yes. It's. I mean, literally, that happens at the end of Phantom, where it's like.
Maybe it's like something to the like there's like a ring to the bass notes.
Yes.
And the like the counter melody sort of feeling. It's like going bum bum bum. Where it's like it's kind of an interesting. Oh, sorry. I don't know. For some reason.
Near my God to me. What is that? Yeah. Or to thee. Yeah. What is that? Is that Godspell? Near.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
My God to thee.
Are you?
Oh, is it a different?
Oh, Chuck is saying. Oh, nearer my
that?
God to thee. I've never heard of that.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
God to thee.
You know that our in Texan residence.
Yeah, it's like a. What am I trying to think that is? It's like patriotic. Goes America like America patriotic kind of feel.
Oh, okay.
Chuck is like about 604 ish.
It's very American sounding, put it that way. Like it's definitely
You think?
American.
Okay.
Yeah. It definitely sounds right.
It could be in the hymnal.
And I love the jump down to the fourth, which is really nice. You know? Yeah, right? Right, and then
yeah. And then up a major sixth.
is gorgeous, and it's powerful, and like really, it's just like it hits those like, we're very programmed to want. I find that like 4 chords and 4 sounds like have a wistful nature to them when used correctly. When you've got this like, especially when you're playing like pentatonic melodies, when you've got like these types of things. Oh, where's my pedal? I just find that like that low 4 chord sound is very, you hear it a lot in like indie rock, you hear it a lot in, I just find the 4 going to a 4 chord.
Yeah, it sounds holy as well. Like
yeah,
Plagal.
holy. It's got a pastoral feeling, that 4 chord. It's my favorite.
Agreed.
To do is hit 4 chords. I also love like surprise 4 chords. I love when you're like doing something and then you like go straight to the 4, but like or like resolving something to the 4 chord. I find that very
What's an example?
Like in a song.
Okay.
Like, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
You're asking for a specific example, like in a song that I can think of?
I mean, yeah. If you can't, that's okay.
No, I like to do it when I write music. Like I like to like do like a big. I wish my pedal was plugged in. It's not. But I like doing things like. Just like kind of bringing us to the 4 in a way that like maybe you were expecting the 1, but it went to the 4 instead.
Gotcha.
I find that.
So not necessarily resolving, but going there.
Yeah, and I like it because the tonic is in the 4 chord, so you can have the melody resolve itself on the tonic, but go to the 4 chord in the harmony, and it sounds like you're like, oh, ooh,
Yeah.
like. Is that
Yeah.
It's very
That's why
common
it's the
in
amen.
Christian.
It's the amen.
Yeah, it's very
thing.
yeah, it's very common in Christian music writing from the era when the current like Baptist and Protestant hymnals, hymnals were being developed.
Yeah.
Like Chuck said, actually, I said that was a patriotic song, but actually it's totally from the Bible.
Well, is there a difference between being patriotic and being Christian, Christina?
That is, I think, what we're seeing here. That the difference is nice and unclear, but I think the 4 chord is really nice because
I saw our viewer count just go click down by 1 when I did that. So.
Yeah, I think the 4 chord is really nice with, like you said, the tonic is in it, but so it's a resolution, but it's kind of an open-ended resolution. So it's kind of like things will resolve in a way that somehow is kind of satisfying, but it may not be what you expect, which is, I think, like a very common like Christian doctrine in the first place. It's like, so there's that, but I don't know why I felt the need to brought in that specific Christian doctrine point. But in terms of tech dying, there's this like, oh, like we're actually going to see a character die.
Yeah.
This might be really, like, in a way, this is really satisfying, and that he's sacrificing himself to save everyone. So in a way, it's kind of like, break the cable. Like we want this to happen. So it's like a resolution, but an open-ended one, which implies that Tech is still alive. Yes.
Yeah. We just got to give him. I mean, it's almost Easter here, so let's
well,
give him.
We had we had the tragic death of AZ in the last finale.
Yeah, that's true. And we've got AZ right here doing very well.
That's true. So I think that the genre choice, or like the vibe choice of this theme definitely resonated in that way. You know, like makes you feel like this is like a spiritual sacrifice, you know. So
Yeah. What it reminds me most of is
Yeah.
actually the end of Solo.
Huh.
which part?
Particularly when it comes up again with Omega, like when the piano. So at
Yeah, I
7,
was gonna mention that. Yeah, that's a really nice moment when they're clearing the rubble and you hear echoes of the theme on the piano.
yeah. It's very soft. It's like
Oh.
etc. And then the piano sample that they used is very like it kind of it actually took me out a little bit. Like I thought it was beautiful, but it was very different from any other piano sample they used. It was like lots of delay on the piano too. Where it was like, yeah,
Yeah, it's. You said it took you out of it a little bit.
yeah, I really liked it, but it did. It was like, oh, they're doing a. It was just so different from what came before it. Where I was like, sort of like in Solo when Kira and Han are saying having their last scene together, we hear that piano, that wistful piano. You're like, oh, we don't really normally hear a piano like this. Like it's kind of like
Yeah.
it doesn't sound Star Wars. I mean, it's not bad. It's unusual, and so here,
Yes.
which is why this reminds me of the end of Solo, because it's another solo piano moment, like a wistful
Yeah.
solo piano moment. Yeah.
I'm so bugged by this theme, especially when you play it on piano. Can you just do it one more time on piano, real quick? I'm just like, what is it? It's from something. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna post it on. It's like it's from a movie or a musical. What is it? It's something for sure. Ya da da ya.
Like in the-
I,
Are those lyrics to you? Do, 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 or is it just the instrumental part?
I feel like it's
You're-
part of the thing, but it's like it's kind of like this where it's a leitmotif that just like keeps reappearing and like it's like brought back like on the it's I swear it was played on the piano in some, whatever this thing is from. We'll figure it out. And
Okay, we'll figure it out.
I'll post it in the comments of this live stream.
Jeannie says, I noticed this episode that the music felt very different. It wasn't so Star Warsy. I feel like the season finales of particularly these clone short shows, they kind of have that vibe to them. I remember the end of the first season too. Also had some different sounded a little bit different, not in a bad way. It's really nice. But yeah. Also, Christina.
Yeah, maybe the composers bring a different part of themselves to the very ending or something.
Yeah.
Indeed, it is 12:15.
It was nice for you to join us,
So-
Christina.
It was
Good luck
nice
with the rest of your
to join
day.
you guys. Thank you.
And now James can tell me
Enjoy.
the Thrawn thing.
Yes, I'll be jealous and wondering what it is.
All right. Bye, Christina.
Bye.
Okay. What's the Thrawn thing?
Oh, you want to talk about it right now? So you saw the most recent Mando episode, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, okay. So they're alluding now. Can everyone still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we have the end of Mando. This past episode, where we are like we see that Moff Gideon has been rescued, you know, seemingly by some nefarious characters, you know, and they find some Beskar, of course, you know, and there's lots of speculation that somehow Thrawn might be involved with this scheme.
Oh.
And considering the it's, you know, the meta conversation around it being that like that's what they're building towards with these shows in general. So this is probably where they're going, but they're giving you
What's
a
the
red
explanation
herring. Well,
for
they're
that?
giving you a red herring of the Beskar and saying like, oh, you're meant to expect that some type of Mandalorians are involved with this, but it's Thrawn.
Why
Or
do
Thrawn is
people?
somehow involved. Well, I mean, I think people they know that they're building to Thrawn, so
Oh,
they're
they're just trying to guess
assuming
the way that they're going to do it.
exactly. So, but I guess my guess for you, or my question for you, and I think Alex maybe was saying this on the Star Wars Explained stream. It was just like, why would Thrawn be interested in like rescuing
Moff Gideon.
Moff Gideon, and like what would within his character, what would his motivations be to like mess with the Mandalore and to like what would be his motivation to get involved with this whole thing? Would he be?
I see no reason why he would
Right.
want that. Or
Right. And that's what I figured that most people that know about Thrawn would assume, but I'm wondering if they're just going to make him out to be like just a bad guy that wants to get. Oh, I guess here's the thing. Like, do you think that Thrawn is interested in helping aid with the cloning projects of Pershing and and Palpatine? Do you think he would be at all interested in that whole thing?
no,
You don't think so? Like,
Not
there's
really.
no reason.
can't think of a reason.
Okay, there you go. So the Beskar made me think of that woman, Ahsoka. This is Jeannie from Ahsoka. And remember what Ahsoka asks her, which is, "Where's Grand
magistrate?
Admiral Thrawn?" Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, Ahsoka is there specifically to get information about Thrawn, right?
Yeah.
That was like her whole purpose of
Yeah.
chasing that person down, and that person for some reason had Beskar, right?
You mean the magistrate?
The magistrate, right?
Yeah.
So to me, it does seem to be linked to Thrawn in some way.
Well,
shape,
but
or form.
Thrawn is linked to Ezra, and Ahsoka's linked to Ezra.
Yes, but why does Thrawn want to? Why would Thrawn have rescued Moff Gideon?
That I don't know.
Right.
I can't make that connection.
Yeah. So I'm struggling to make it too, from what I know about Thrawn from all the research I've done from talking to you.
The only this would be a stretch, but like I could see Thrawn being interested in Grogu, and I know that Moff Gideon is interested in Grogu
Why do you think? Why would that be? Why do you think he's interested in Grogu?
for the same reason he's interested in Ezra.
Was he interested in Ezra?
Well, yeah, he was interested in Ezra.
Well, I don't remember him having any particular interest in Ezra other than trying to stop him from messing up his plans in Rebels. Like he wasn't like trying to get Ezra, was he? Was he? When did that?
I don't want
happen?
to. Well,
Oh, you're talking about it was in the books. He was talking about Ezra.
yes, but also
I'm not gonna
Thrawn
read
has
these books.
Thrawn has. I'm glad you finally admitted it. Thrawn has like, in general, Thrawn is really interested in people. Close your ears until I do this to the camera, okay? If you don't want things about Thrawn spoiled. Okay, so this is where Thrawn spoilers are going to start. When I do this, they're over. Okay. Thrawn is interested in learning more about the Force. It's very about Force sensitivity because it's very
Okay.
directly relevant to the like survival of his own species, because his own species has Force. The Force manifests. They don't call themselves Jedi or anything. There's like there's like certain types of forciness that show up in certain parts of the population, and they're very important to like the continuation of their like culture. And there's some parts of it that are like under threat. And so it's one of the reasons he's really interested in when he meets Anakin, and he's very interested in the Force, in learning more about it, and learning how to perhaps harness it better, perhaps learn how to prolong the Force sensitivity, because in his culture, Force sensitives, they outgrow their force sensitivity by the time they're like teenagers. It doesn't really last, but
Oh, interesting.
yeah. So there's a lot that he wants to learn about it, which is why I know that I'm sure the fact that he is stuck with Ezra, I'm sure he is having a great time asking questions. I feel like they're
About the
becoming
Force.
friends. Yeah.
I see.
Okay.
I
Wait, are we done?
understand. Okay.
Yeah, we're done.
Are we done? Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for spoilers.
Um,
But that would be a stretch because Moff Gideon isn't like, the longer we go without seeing him, the kind of farther away. I don't know. Like, I don't know if I would go through Moff Gideon to even get to Grogu anymore. It just, I don't know.
I see, right? But I would say that, like, whatever they might have gotten. Oh, but remember, they've done a little bit of work on Grogu with Dr. Pershing in terms of cloning and his DNA. So he might be looking for the Moff to help him understand what they've gathered about Grogu. Like, they might not even need Grogu anymore because they've got his DNA. So that might be it, right?
Yeah,
Like,
maybe.
And that's also why they fried Dr. Pershing and got his lab back. Which actually, I'm not really unclear why they like totally did. Like, my understanding
yeah.
is that whole thing is they kind of lobotomized him. You know,
Yeah,
Like-
it
they
seemed
made-
like mind flayed him.
they mind flayed him, right? So like he's kind of like useless now, right, to them. Which I thought that was interesting. I mean, it's kind of like a journey of discovery this season. It seems like we're trying to parse out like what exactly is going on here, as opposed to
Yeah.
other seasons where it was more clear it was basically just like the dude and his kid against the universe. Now it seems like there's like forces at play here that it's not clear. They're not showing their hand as much, and that's what this season is about, seemingly.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean, now that we've talked about it, like I can see how they could make it because of the cloning and force sensitives being cloned. Like, I don't think he cares about like the clones being cloned, but the fact that they have some of Grogu's DNA, I think that's probably more interesting. I could see how that would be relevant. Again, it's sort of I don't know.
It's a stretch.
It's a stretch, but like perhaps whatever. But I have to ask you now, James. I know that you were having a Bad Batch crisis of faith, really bad mid-season, and you were like, "Let's switch to Mandalorian." How do you feel musically that these shows or sound design wise that these shows are matching up, lining up? What are some strengths of one versus another?
I think I can't tell. I mean, I think what I have not liked about The Mandalorian this season, I never have an issue with Bad Batch, which is the delivery of dialogue, the smoothness of the drama, and the, you know what I mean? Because it's animation, you can basically make the actors give perfect performances, you know, for the most part. Like, in terms of their, like, you never have to worry about their face looking wooden if you spend enough time animating it, you know? I feel like some of the acting in Mando this season has been stilted, and also I think the writing is better. I think the writing of the dialogue and so this is all leading me to say, like, I think the music supports it better because just like the flowing of the drama of Bad Batch is just always better than Mando, and I haven't really. I thought the Kiners have done a wonderful job this I almost said semester. That just shows how much of a teacher I am. This season, I feel like the Kiners have just done some really interesting and just beautiful scoring. I haven't had a lot of moments in Mando so far where the score has even stuck out to me. I'm not. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I remember in previous seasons some really special moments that Ludwig did that I haven't heard. Who's the new composer this season? Like the guy from Boba, right?
Yeah.
What's his name though?
Why can't I remember? Oh my God, this is I feel like I've never forgotten it before. Shirley, Joseph Shirley, Joe Shirley. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to, you know, put his music down or anything like that. I just haven't heard like any moments that have really stuck out for me yet. I mean, there's these little moments that I remember, like in Ludwig's scores over the last two seasons, like Grogu discovering all those eggs. That was just such a beautiful, like the Grogu theme coming in for the first time. I just remember like, this is awesome. I remember like some of the first season where some of those, like even in the first episode where he's going down into the depths of the Mandalorian covert, and like we hear that the guitar moments. We got some of those moments almost like copied and pasted from season one in this past episode when Bo-Katan is going down into those seasons, but I'm not finding things don't feel as fresh as they did score wise.
Yeah.
So I'm finding myself being not as taken with the score as I have been in previous seasons. Whereas in Bad Batch, I just find these like moments where I'm just like, that was really powerful and well done. I'm not finding. I feel like this season has been like solidly scored by the Kiners.
Mm-hmm.
Like I haven't really disagreed with any of their decisions, like, or as a like been like, ooh, that took me out. I mean, I know that you're typically a bit more critical than I am about that kind of stuff, but like I feel like that one thing in season one, like, you know, our favorite thing is like that. Nothing like that has happened. Right. There hasn't been anything like that this season. It feels like the production has just been solid on and I would integrate score into the production component in many ways. Like it's just like when I think of like when production is shoddy, I think, ooh, those visuals don't look good. Ooh, that acting doesn't look good. Ooh, that score moment was like off-putting. I feel like everything just sits really nicely and doesn't take me out. What has taken me out of Bad Batch is just like the meandering plot, you know. But
Yeah.
as a production, it's been like solid. You know, there hasn't been any moments that have taken me out in that way. Whereas Mandalorian, it's just like there's these little moments that I'm just like, what? That was so, like, there's just these little things that they keep doing that I'm just like, that was so either cheesily delivered or whatever. I don't want to hate Mando because I'm also having a great time with it too.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not like hating Mandalorian, but I am finding that it's not hitting like, whoa, yeah, this is like, I'm excited every single week. It feels a little bit more like Book of Boba Fett. That, you know, than it does, you know, like it feels like there's some Book of Boba Fett moments going on in Mando this season.
Interesting. I feel like Mando it's been a lot patchier for me, and I think score wise, so I will say, yeah, I'm more critical of of like the scores probably, and there are moments where that I think could have been better in the Bad Batch. But overall, the scoring of the Bad Batch, I feel, just works for me much better than the scoring of the Mandalorian. And I think some of what I've been critical. I have never like loved the score for the Mandalorian, even season one. I've just been sort of like pleasantly surprised by some of the newness of it. And I think now that it's no longer new, some of those like things that the Mandalorian does, like, I don't know, just the way that their beat work. I don't know what else to call it. The way that they like do action and just whatever is just grates on me now. It's no longer new. Sure. Star Wars has been doing stuff like this now since, look, credit to The Mandalorian for really breaking the mold.
Yeah.
Definitely credit to the first season Mandalorian. But it's never, besides its hit songs, been like a very transcendent underscore or like even like the underscore doesn't disappear into the show. Like I kind of hope that underscore does, where it elevates the whole scene.
Yeah.
Whereas the Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett did this too, does this thing where like then they do some obnoxious music that is like, now I kind of have to either think about the music or or the action, or like one of them and when the music is really commanding my attention in the way that the Mandalorian does, it makes me find the action cheesier. Like a lot of this stuff where the Mandalorian, like a lot of stuff in this last episode I recognized was cool to see. Lots of Mandalorians fighting together. On paper, this is really cool. I was sort of like, okay, I'm gonna walk away for a second. When all the like shooty stuff, launching stuff, when the battle is over, like I'll come back, I guess. Which is,
Yeah, this is kind of weird because I think like maybe I think I'm just getting desensitized of seeing like
cool
I'm
stuff.
getting desensitized. Yeah, because I mean, 2 years ago I would have been like, oh my god, we are getting live action huge battles between Mandalorians, pirates. These like X-wings are flying in and out. We're seeing the New Republic, all these things, and now I've seen so much of it in some ways that I'm just like. I'm finding I don't want to be like cynical. I'm trying to keep that excitement alive for that thing. But now I just really want them to like deliver on the character moments and make the dialogue and the plot feel like it's moving forward and makes sense. And I just think that like the animation, and maybe this is just shooting at the hip here, but like I just feel like animation is able to control the dramatic elements so much more eloquently. And the dialogue somehow, because they're not like limited to shooting all this stuff in real life and making sure that the action looks really tight and making sure the dialogue delivered is really tight and the scene flows together really nicely. When you're able to do that with like a feature film budget, you can really have you get the time and you get the money to make sure that each scene really hits all those marks, that the dialogue is delivered, you get enough takes on the dialogue, you get all that stuff together. You can just control all that stuff more with animation because it's not real actors. And I just feel like Bad Batch is delivering cinematic level, like film level action and dialogue and pacing, where the live action shows seem like they've got 1 foot in being like amazing production and 1 foot in being like this is still kind of a shoddy television show. It's like it's so impressive, but it feels like I get moments where it feels like it's like Xena Warrior Princess level like production and pacing. Like there's moments where I look at it, I'm like that looks cheap. Like when all the Mandalorians are like standing on that planet around the water and they're like panning around, that like all their outfits look like brand new cosplay costumes. They don't have, it feels like the costume design didn't put enough scratches and dents on everything to make it sit in the environment, to make it feel like I'm looking at a real group of Mandalorians that have been sitting on this sand planet for months or a year or wherever. It looks like they took a bunch of people with brand new Mandalorian costumes they just bought and put them on the volume,
Yeah, it's a little bit cheesy.
It's got an uncanny valley level of like, ooh, this doesn't look exactly the way it should look. And I bet if this was a feature film, they would have spent a little bit more money to make it look the way they needed to. But because it's anyway, I'm not trying to hate on the Mandalorian. I'm just saying like let me just explain why I'm feeling a little bit like ooh. And I feel like they didn't take as many risks in season 1, so I didn't notice that. But now they're going for it, which is awesome. I want them to keep going for it. But there's like little moments where I feel like when they walked into the New Republic, like I just feel like what's the actor from Kim's Convenience? What's his name? The X-wing pilot.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't remember for some reason.
Feel like I just feel like it was all way too, like everyone's outfit looks way too clean and nice. It's like Andor, I feel like understood like make everything just look a little bit more worn and lived in and like it's real. I still feel like I'm yeah, and he's great. I love him. But I just feel like his costume, and I just feel like things are just looking a little bit too like I'm watching a play, like I'm watching a stage production of The Mandalorian as opposed to like I feel like if we went back and did screenshots of like Andor's depictions of Coruscant and people living on Coruscant and Mando's depiction, I feel like Andor looks a little bit more realistic and Mando's looks a little bit more like we're watching a TV show. But
okay, I have a few things that I disagree with you on, but Jeannie's comment
yeah, I mean,
is very true. Mando has a good amount of Star Wars camp, so like definitely,
which is great.
which is fine, and it's a different style of whatever. So I think that Bad Batch, first of all, hilarious. If anyone has if anyone goes back to 2-3 streams ago, James just being like, I'm done with the Bad Batch. I don't think I can stream about it anymore. I think I want to switch to Mando. Hilarious juxtaposition. But appreciate your honesty, James. Never stop. Okay.
But it's just different things I value in the shows. Like Bad Batch always has a better production value, but it's just the story has bored me. Now
Yeah.
Mando, it's like the things that bother me are the production value, but I like what they're doing with the story. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Like-
So with Bad Batch, I feel like it actually does have. I think the Bad Batch has also been spotty in terms of its dialogue, its acting, direction. I feel like a lot of the dialogue has not felt great. Like, think perhaps the action scenes can come off better in animation because we don't have to worry about like actual physics in animation. You can kind of do whatever. But in the like person to person scenes, I feel like the Bad Batch has struggled a little bit in those, especially when it's D. Bradley Baker acting to himself. Where I do miss a little bit more of it feels a little separate. Like I'm saying my line and now I'm saying my line. Now that said, Mandalorian does that too. It does like the very like I'm saying my line, now you're saying your line type of thing sometimes. Not always, just sometimes. But I think Mandalorian definitely just feels like the opposite of a play. I think if something feels like a stage play, I feel like that usually is a good thing because it usually means like solid blocking, solid acting.
I disagree.
And
I think it usually means the acting feels less natural and more like performed as a play. If that makes sense.
oh, interesting. When I think
Which
of
is
things
good in a
that
play
feel
context.
when I think of movies that seem like plays, I think of like Empire Strikes Back. Which
I would interesting.
which to me feels very much like more like a set where like everything the dial even though things are maybe perhaps delivered in a way that's obvious that they're not close mic'd, like there is a certain cohesion to the blocking and a certain awareness that the actors have of the space they're in, which is not present when actors are in a volume. Where in a play, one thing that they do have is like I can see that this is the end of the. I can see that this is where this prop is. I can see where there's like feel like they have more of a handle on the space. Yeah.
What I'm imagining, think about a play at Disneyland. Like you're at a show at Disneyland, like you're watching the Aladdin production at Disneyland or something like that, right?
Sure.
Or you're watching like a Star Wars play that I'll get like you're in Galaxy's Edge and they do those little things up on the platforms and they're like performing.
Yeah, they're
Star
being like
Wars
really
scene.
big with their movements.
That's what
and
it feels
everything.
like some of the scenes in Mando feel like. You're like watching like a Star Wars play at Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
Or you're watching a cutscene before you get on the Millennium Falcon ride.
Yeah, but that's not the
You're like-
right. That's like a very even. A Star Wars play is different from like watching like an I don't know August Wilson play on an in an
Yeah, but
actual
that's- when I
theater.
said that, that's what I'm
Okay.
talking about.
Gotcha.
It's like I'm not watching like real people living in Star Wars. I'm like watching people performing a Star Wars script.
Got it.
And that's what it feels like sometimes. I'm like not watching real people that live in this galaxy that talk the way that people live in that galaxy. And I feel like in Empire, I feel like I'm watching people that live in that galaxy. You know, that live there, but now in this show, it's like, it's the Boonty Eve tonight, and like, I feel like Pelly's scene was so like rough. Like her stuff is like R5, you know, you gotta take R5 to. It's just like so much like over the top Star Wars stuff going on, and it's like it feels too much, you know.
Yeah.
And again, I do not want to rain on the Star Wars parade because of people that like are psyched about it, and I'm definitely not. I'm not like bummed out about Mando. I'm just a little bit I'm rolling my eyes more this season than I ever have on this show, and that's if I can solidify it a little bit more. I'm like, ooh, this is great. This is great. This is great. Oh, come on. Oh, this is great. This is great. This is great. This is great. Oh, come on. You know what I mean? So where I don't feel like I'm rolling my eyes with Bad Batch, I'm just not doing enough of this is great. This is great. This is great.
Yeah.
That's the best
Fair.
way I can describe my feelings on these two shows. However, these last two episodes, oh my God, I was just glued. I was just like, yeah, this is why I actually do love this show. It's
The Bad
'cause
Batch we're talking about now.
It delivers stuff like this, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And Mando, I'm sure, will deliver amazing moments that I'm going to be really psyched upon as we go forward in the series. And I mean, there's been some awesome stuff with Mando. Like the freaking spinach the hut, you know? Like that guy is out of control and I love it. He's just like he is a pirate made of seaweed. Like what it's awesome.
Wait, I'm trying to understand. Okay, I thought the storyline and action in the last few Bad Batch episodes was and will be seriously cheesed off if there isn't a season
Probably
3.
I'm guessing that they just left out a word was awesome or was great or something like that.
Yeah. Feel free to clarify.
Yeah, it was great. I would be definitely cheesed off as well.
Yeah.
I will be any
I feel like
any amount of dairy products offed.
there's no
So-
possible way for there not to be a 3rd season.
No, I mean, yeah, I that I don't see how that.
I mean, they ended with like a big. They ended with a overt.
Yeah, I see that like. I mean, I guess Lucasfilm is always at the mercy of whatever the Disney overlords want them to do, but I can't see that Filoni. I feel like Filoni has enough of a pulse on what to expect with Disney that he wouldn't have made such bold writing decisions with this season that would screw him out of a season 3 if they got it canceled, right? Like I feel like you only make a writing decision like that if you're like you've got an inside knowledge from your money source that you're going to be able to go forward, right? Like you don't leave it like that, you know? So unless yeah. So
Oh, it was great. Okay, there we go.
yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, here's the thing. Mandalorian is trying some really, really bold things, and I really appreciate it. But they're not always hitting it on all. They're not always firing on all cylinders. Like with all these things that they're attempting to do, they're attempting to do some huge, bold decisions with like what they're incorporating into their show. You know, which I really appreciate. Other than for some reason, let's put how do they not sit around in the writer's room and be like, do you think it's a little bit too much to include R5D4 as a major component in in these couple episodes? How do they not have a note? Like, is it just yes men around them at all times where they're just like, yeah, do that. Everyone's gonna be psyched about that. I feel that is so egregious. That might be one of the most egregious things that they've done in years, is having R5D4 be this like, it's like that is a droid that blew up on a sand planet. I don't know. How do you feel about R5D4?
Not great. I think it's not great.
It is R5D4, right? Or is that?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yep, it's R5.
Yeah, R5D4. That's right. Yeah, exactly. It's just like, okay, let's just talk about. Okay, I mean, unless there's some other like supplementary material that have indicated that R5 went to fight for the rebellion. Is there a comic where he went to fight for the rebellion? Is there something that indicates that something else happened to him other than blowing up on Tatooine and what I assume would be turned into scrap metal by the Jawas, right? Like how did he get from there? I like how I'm gendering this droid for some reason. Get from there to becoming a rebellion fighting or like involved with the Republic. Like how? How?
I don't know.
Because wait a second, no, wait, hold on. He was sold by Peli. He was just hanging out in Peli's scrapyard, and then sold to the Mandalorian, and then somehow is revealed to this entire time have been a Republic spy. Does this make sense to anybody? What is going on here?
Maybe it was like that he helped R2 conspire to let R2 be picked, since that was, according to from a certain point of view, R2
That's
told
right.
R5 of the importance that he gets picked so he can deliver this message. So R5 deliberately malfunctioned.
Guys, I'm
But
sorry.
I
I can't with this.
But look, okay.
I just can't.
apparently he did find a new place within the rebellion. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
No,
It
but
really doesn't
again,
matter.
But then why was he just hanging out in Pelly's garage for the last 2 seasons of Mandalorian with still having his blown capacitor or whatever it is, the motivator? You can see that was part of the joke. He was like an off joke. He's like, "Oh, look, it's that droid from A New Hope," and his motivator like blew out. And they never fixed that. Like they've never like shined out the burn marks from when he blew his top in A New Hope. So how does the Republic then is like, "Oh, you're a spy and we're going to
I don't
they
know.
remember what they did 3 episodes before this past episode? Like there's more to complain about it than it just being a bad cameo. It like doesn't line up with what happened 2 episodes. Okay, sorry.
No.
I'm on a tear. I'm sorry.
It's
But no, it
it's
doesn't
fine.
make sense, right? Like he was in Pelly's garage for the last how many years? So he's just a Republic spy sitting in the. Okay, this doesn't make any sense. I'm
Look, all we know is allegedly he was with Carson. Is that his name?
Yeah, Carson Teva.
Yeah, he was with Carson, and he blew his top again. Maybe it's just a thing he does a lot.
I guess he's got a bad motivator. I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but I didn't like it either.
Yeah, because he just comes out and we just accept it as the audience. Oh, I had a spy in there, and he just rolls out, and you're like, oh, I guess he was like it, like he was and then when you think about, oh wait, he was
Well,
just
I don't.
on Tatooine
Was
for
he
the
a?
last how many years?
It wasn't necessarily that he was a spy. It was just like, how did you find us? And he was like, I don't know. One of them
I
used
have
to work with
somebody
me.
on the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Whatever, dude.
I don't
we'll
know.
Figure it out.
I think like
I'm not
the point. I think
impressed.
this season. I think for Mandalorian, I just have to not think too hard about certain things because there are so many like instances. There are so many areas where we could basically they're not trying. It doesn't seem like they're trying to. It seems like they're doing many of these R5D4
Yeah.
things. So yeah, I
I
don't
just
know.
want it's like if you're in the writing room and you're like, oh, let's make the droid be the thing. Like you think that somebody would be like, oh, but then why was he on Pelly's like garage for the last like year? Like what was he doing? Like you think that somebody would bring that up, right? Anyway, but maybe they're gonna explain it somehow. Maybe we're gonna get one episode that's just like just R5, and you're gonna see his whole journey.
Oh God.
Dude, let's get Oh, I've been gunning for Jackson to show up in this show or in anything. Yeah, Chuck. I think I would be a lot happier if they would do that. Give me a flashback episode so I can somehow sleep at night with like how any of this makes any sense at all. I know you don't really care. I know that this stuff doesn't bother you as much, Xanthi.
No, it does.
But
It bothers me, but it doesn't. But lots of things bother me. So it bothers me, but I'm not. I've already.
You're like the Hulk. Like the Hulk is like the Hulk's secret is that he's always angry, and that's why he can control whether he turns green or not. Your secret is that you're always bothered.
No, no. It's just I have a lot of things to think about, and with Mandalorian, I have already categorized it in like I'm not as in. It can't let me down very much anymore because it's already in
It's
a different
problematic
category.
fave.
I'm looking at R5D4's Wikipedia page, and apparently he appears in Attack of the Clones.
I
Don't
remember
where.
that
You
happening
do?
somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, in the Droid Factory, maybe no, not in the Droid Factory. Where does he appear? I remember him being in that show.
He's
or
in.
that movie.
Wait, he's in The Mandalorian Chapter 5, The Gunslinger, and in Chapter 9, The Marshal, and in
Yes,
Chapter 10, The
this-
Passenger,
Yes. Yeah. Listen. This is
and in
what
Book
I'm
of
saying.
Boba Fett. Wait,
No,
he's in a lot of
listen.
episodes.
I know, but this is why it doesn't make any sense because we've seen him in Pelly's garage for like the last year as like a droid that's like discarded with a blown motivator. So I'm
Oh,
like,
okay, so that's the context.
How long has he just been in this garage and somehow still connected with Teva and like delivering information to him somehow? Like, or maybe I guess he just I don't know. I guess he was in the garage. Maybe he was just having a couple off years back on Tatooine, and then he got brought on the mission, and then he was put in the Mandalorian covert, and then he was like, "Let me transmit a message to the X-wing that we need help."
Maybe.
Which, I guess so. I guess.
I don't know.
Okay. All right,
Okay.
sorry, y'all. I'll calm down. I'll calm down. Okay.
Bad Batch. Anything else about the Bad Batch final 2 episodes, particularly the music and sound? I know we had that wonderful AZ sound, the whirring. Justin likes that.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
love the. We got another one of these moments, and we get maybe we'll get one of these every season. You know, like the POV, all hell is broken loose moment, where they're going back to the ship, and I think it's maybe Omega's point of view.
Oh,
Where
you mean
everything's
like
blown up, and we're seeing them like. It's like that scene of it's a POV of just Omega, and I think she's being carried or something.
as she's passing out or whatever?
Yeah, and like we see like it's like shaky cam, and
Yeah.
it's like
We did
it's
get that last
similar
season,
to
huh?
some of the we got some of the tinnitus moments, and then we get these like huge bass drum notes in it, or bass sounds that are like these big like muffled bass drum or bass synth bass kick drum stuff. Yeah, really cool.
So what was the context of the bass drums coming in? Like it's during the double vision Omega.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like when we're also hearing the shooting and everything through like filters. So it
Yeah,
all sounds very
everything's-
distant.
We got a low pass filter on that. So
I think it's a high pass filter. But where's Justin when we need him?
no, it's a low pass filter because it's all the stuff that you're hearing is on the low end, and they've sucked out the high. So that would be a low pass filter. High pass would be only.
Yeah,
the
no,
high
I get it. But I'm
passes,
I'm
right?
hearing high end coming through. Oh, it switches. It changes.
Yeah.
First I'm hearing the high coming through of the voices, but also it's like when it's like AZ can help. Everything.
Let me see.
Yeah, I'm like at
really-
8:15. Like at first their voices sound
Because I'm hearing boom.
like I'm hearing some shots come through and they sound kind of thin at first, like starting at 8. And I hear like high pitched things coming through and voices coming through without much booming to them. But then later, those bassy things do come through more. You know what I mean?
Yes.
There's not
yes,
much bassiness, and then there
yeah,
is.
It brings it in, right?
So maybe it
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
changes,
yeah.
which makes sense.
The filter sweeps. It's like a sweep.
Yeah, that makes sense. Mid pass.
Mid pass. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I like those POV things. I mean, everything about Omega's pass out, like from the piano music. Again, to make James upset. We don't know where to the sound editing, the filter, and just the POV, the quote unquote camera angle. There was the delay on the piano, and then sort of like visually, there's echoes of like sort of delay visually. That whole thing, I really paid attention. I was like, this is a crisis situation. This is different. It really grabbed me there because it was also like different and poignant, I guess.
Yeah. It's well done.
Let's see. Yeah. And then even though neither of us were very impressed by the reveal at the end, the music afterward
Well, I'm
was
definitely
pretty cool.
intrigued. Like, I just want more info about. Like, I wasn't like necessarily like blown away, but I was like, ooh, tell me more about that. I want to know more about Omega's thing. So I wasn't like whoa, but I was like, okay, cool. I really want you to follow that up, and I want you to spend more time on that next season, please. So yeah, and I think we will, considering Omega will be in captivity for at least the first bit of the season, So hopefully we'll get lots of exposition about what the heck is going on Mount Tantus, whatever it's called.
Yeah. I wonder how it would have come off if the music wasn't going like whatever. Like, ooh.
Right.
I wonder if those were sample strings. They were sample strings, I'm sure. It kind of came off very cleanly there, where it's a kind of a hard register, weird notes to play. Yeah, that would have been pretty hard to play that accurately without like weird wrong notes being wrong strings reverberating during that, because it's a sharps and stuff. But anyway, yeah. Cool stuff.
Cool stuff. Well done, Bad Batch.
Yeah.
Made me actually excited for the next season. Somehow.
I think that's a success. Look, everyone in chat who's been here the last few times, Jeannie, are you still here? We've seen James come full circle. Matthew, you've been here. We've seen James have a progression. Looking back, the clone scientist obviously helped out Crosshair escape in the previous episode. I actually feel that too, Matthew. I felt that the clone scientist was always not overtly helping Crosshair, because she's still in line with her duty. She's not like disobeying orders or whatever. But I felt that she was sympathetic to Crosshair, including when she was like, "You're not going to escape." Like, I believed her when she said it, and I didn't think she was just threatening him. I think she was leveling with him, like a few episodes ago, when she's like, "You're not going to get out." I think she'll help Omega and Crosshair escape. That would be cool.
That would be cool. I'll take it.
I'll take it too. Well, we'll have to wait probably another year for season 3. So we'll talk about it next year. All right.
Oh my God. That's
let us
crazy,
know
right?
let us know in chat or in comments what upcoming shows you would like us to cover, because
I mean, yeah.
I still haven't looked at the schedule yet. I still need to. But if there is one that overwhelmingly people want, let us know for sure. Yeah, because we'll have to be deciding. So that's all I got today.
Woo!
Thank you, everyone,
it.
for listening to our commentary. I think Emery helped Crosshair in episode 14. Oh, is that her name? Okay. So yeah, I wouldn't mind her becoming text replacement. Omega could use a big sis. That could be interesting. But I'm also just not. Gary says, okay, oh, please, Ahsoka. When is that coming out? When is that starting?
I think it's in the fall sometime.
Okay. I'm sure Hemlock knows she's a clone, but maybe not. Oh, what I'm saying is, Alf, like what I feel like, I think this sounds good, what you say, but I'm not ready to let go of tech. So I don't want to think about it yet. I'm not ready to let go of you, tech. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thanks to the Masked Jedi for attending. Your comments have been much appreciated. Yeah. So with that, we'll see you when the next show that we do pops up. Thank you for, a great season.